Hi, y'all. This is Doug from youtube.com/@Tramp Traveler. And I'm out in my shuttle bus where we're going to do some work on my solar system again, installing batteries and such. And I've got a pretty cool update that I've been rocking 5 batteries. But I think I found a way that I can put in 6 batteries, so I've ordered another one. And I'm going to show you what I need to do to make room for that. Hang on just a second. Here you see 2 batteries and then a third one. But I'm lacking about a 1/2 inch. I need to cut out of that one leg there to be able to fit those back in there. And then there will be second set of batteries right across there. So it'll be 2 rows of 3. And that does several things. Plus, well, one thing, it gives me bigger capacity, but it also gives me the thing that I can use lighter wires hopping from positive to positive and from negative to negative. With each bank, each set of 3 having their own set of wires. 3 here, 3 here. Well, actually 6 here and 6 here. But then over here, they'll join together on a distribution block before they go up and into the rear end of my 2,000 watt pure sine inverter. And that's a good thing. It's this HQST manufacturer, they recommend no more than 4 batteries in a parallel. So I'm going to do 3 and 3, which takes care of that. They're concerned that it may not stay balanced if there's too many in a row. So I'm taking them out, I'm putting them in 2 rows, but with less batteries in each row. Now, I'm going to be doing, I got to cut a different piece of plywood for underneath here, because the one I had before was with the batteries turned this way, and there was 5 of them side by side. So I'm lacking about 6 inches of plywood there for the base. But before I get into that, I want to tell you that I need you to stick around, because after I get done with this video, I'm going to go over some other issues with buying land down in Arizona, some cheap land that you can afford to be able to boondock on or build a house on, camp in a small shed, whatever you want to do. There's a lot of zoning that needs to be talked about, maybe some prices on what you need for utilities, stuff like that. So stick around for that. After I get this plywood cut, I'll stack these things up here and show you what it looks like. That other battery's not going to be here for another week, so I can't really join them together. I can get to cutting wires for them and putting the terminal ends on them. But I also come across something that's rarely talked about with protecting the batteries, and that's to put a fuse on each battery. So on Amazon, I found these little square block fuses. They're about 1 inch square and metal top and bottom, with a 100 amp fuse joining the top and bottom. And then you put your terminal ring on that before you go on to the next battery. So if any one of these 6 batteries shorts out, it can't destroy the rest of them in that string, or even the ones over here, because they're going to be joined down here together with a distribution block. And so that's something I rarely see anybody, I've never heard of it before. And I don't know how I actually came across that wisdom, but it's a very smart thing to do. Usually everybody just joins them together and you got like 300 amp hours going across there, and all of a sudden, boom, it'll blow the BMSs in the batteries. It's battery management systems. So in each of these batteries, there's a computer, so to speak. And it looks for all kinds of things: over charging, undercharging, temperatures, uh, just all kinds of stuff. Keeping them balanced, because lithium batteries all want to have the same voltage on them and the same draw, and so that's what the BMS does. Is it helps keep them all tuned together. So called balance. So let me get into this here and let me get the heater started up because it's freezing cold out here. I got 15 degrees outdoors and it's 15 degrees in here too. So we'll catch up with you here in a little bit. Okay, I've got the notch out cut and put back in there. Made the longer base for this and put in rubber matting. And I put 4 of the batteries in, but I forgot I got to put in the heated mat that goes below it, and it's coiled up here, so I got them plugged in and letting them warm up so they'll lay out flat. It'll be one of these underneath each half of those batteries. Like there'll be one down here where the plug will be, and that'll go to the center of this, and the other one will go from the center of this over to this end. So there'll be a plug coming up both ends. And then I've got them joined by a T-shaped outlet. What do you call it? 3-way plug. And that'll be a permanent thing there. And then inside the house shed, I didn't bring it out, but I've got it's a 35 to 45 degree switch that it's got two outlets in it and one inlet. You plug that into this T, and then you plug the 2 cords into that, and when it gets down to 35 in here, it'll kick on these heaters, and when it attains 45 degrees, which if I'm storing the vehicle without the heater being on, it'll never get to 45 because the sensor is going to be outside of the battery pack and the battery's going to be underneath it. Wouldn't hurt anything except for just continue to draw 20 watts on each of these, and it'll only bring the temperature up 20 degrees, but it doesn't hurt these batteries to be frozen, even to use them when they're frozen, but you're just not supposed to charge them when they're below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So basically this is just, if I'm living in here and the cold is penetrating up through the floor and getting the batteries cold, or if I temporarily walk away from it and the heater goes off, it gets cold in here, these will kick on and keep the batteries warm until I get back. And I'll probably have a light attached to these things too that shows me when these things are in the on position. I'll be able to see a red light bulb or something up here in the living area, so I'll know that they're on. So I got to wait for these to heat up. I'm going to stick underneath there, and then I got a 5th battery that's got to go in here, and I got to wait for the 6th battery. So that's it for out here. I'm going to go back in the house, and we'll talk about purchasing land from Arizona. I thought I'd give you one last look with the 5 batteries in place with the rubber pads underneath it and the heater pads on top of that, and then the batteries on top of that. I just have to wait for that last battery, which, like I say, is not going to be in here for another week. So meanwhile, I can get some other stuff done. Hello again, my friends. It's Saturday, January 31st, last day of January, and I'd like to ask you to get a pad of paper and something to write with, because after I get done talking here and get back home, we're going to be going into information on buying land in Arizona, and I've got a ton of stuff to talk about the ins and outs of it, the good and the bad, all of that stuff. But right now I'm on my way across the state to pick up a DC to DC charger for my shuttle bus. And I don't know, some of you might know what that is, but I'll explain it here. It's device that you hook up in your vehicle to your charging system. Hooks up to your battery, your alternator system, and what it does is it converts the power coming out of your alternator into whatever type of battery you have for your, what they call house batteries. You know, the shuttle bus batteries, the lithium batteries in my case, and in most cases that's what this is used for. And you can set it, you know, for whether it's regular wet batteries or lithium, and you can set the charging amount that it gives, the profile that it charges at, because lithium takes a little different charging profile, and so that whenever you're driving, it's charging your batteries up. Well, my solar is going to be folded up on the side of my shuttle bus during travel. It's not on top of the roof. It's on the side of the bus, and the bottom 4 panels fold up against the top 4 panels to protect them when I'm driving. So, you know, if I want to put some charge into my solar batteries during that time, this DC to DC charger will do that for me. And it's a fairly big one. It's a 60 amp, which is that's pretty good. But my alternator on my shuttle bus is huge compared to normal vehicles. Normal vehicles, you know, they're anywhere from 125 amps to 225, 250. Mine is a 450 amp, and the reason it's such a big one, it's not big in size, it just puts out a big charge, is because my shuttle bus has a handicap lift on it. And the handicap lift, you know, if it's being used in a city, going stop to stop, you know, it gotta stop here a second. It is going to be using that lift a lot, you know, to bring in handicappers. And so it needs to be able to keep those batteries charged up, or the shuttle bus batteries charged up. So that's what why I've got such a big alternator in there, and that's a good thing, man. Anyway, like I say, I'm on the way to purchase that, and then like I say, when I get back, I'll be going through all the ins and outs of purchasing land in Arizona, including zoning, what counties are the best for this, what some of the regulations are, what areas of each of those counties is maybe the best. Just everything. I mean, everything. I got a whole page full of information to talk about. So make sure you get that pad of paper and something to write with, because you're definitely going to want to take notes on this if you ever think of even just going down to Arizona, you know, to camp out, or to winter, or be a snowbird, or to purchase land, or to spend the summer down there. So I'll be back shortly. We'll catch you later in a few minutes. Okay, this is the beginning of looking at land in Arizona. And first, let's look at the counties. This is Apache County. Up at the top of it is the northeast corner of Arizona, and it borders with Colorado to the north and with New Mexico to the right. And this is the lower portion of Arizona County, and it's in my opinion, the best place to be looking for land. The zoning regulations are extremely lax in Arizona County, and this area here is also some of the cheapest land, not the cheapest, but some of the cheapest. And it's got a lot of trees, and that's beneficial. We'll talk more about that later. This is the same view with the terrain turned on, showing you the hills and mountains and stuff. And this is with the satellite view turned on. You might familiarize yourself with these pictures here by pausing it, backing up, and looking them over good. This is a close-up of the same area, only zoomed in even further. And if you look at this good and hard, or look them up on your own map, you'll see the towns of Concho, Sholo, and Snowflake, and St. John's. And St. John's is the capital of Apache County. Sholo is in Navajo County, which I'm going to talk about next. Okay, now this is Navajo County, which is directly west of Apache County. And they've got little stiffer zoning regulations. And, so you need to look into those really good when considering this land. Also, Sholo is in Navajo County, which is where you can get all your groceries. It's got a Walmart, and it's also got a Home Depot. So it's a real popular place for getting your groceries, but it's like 30, 40 miles from these other areas I was telling you about once you get onto paved roads. This is with the terrain view turned on at the bottom of Navajo County. And this is zoomed in on the lower portion of Navajo County with those cities that I mentioned earlier showing. And you can see Sholo down there. And this is with satellite view turned on, which is the darker brown areas off to the left. Alrighty, I hope you've got your pad of paper and something to write with, because now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of all of the different things you need to know about purchasing land in Arizona. Well, not everything, but a lot of what you need to know to navigate your way through all of the different things that are so important with looking for a piece of land, with the pricing, zoning, all that stuff. So I just got done showing you maps. And let's reiterate some of the things there. The cheapest land, of course, is in the northeast portion of the state, although there's probably cheap land elsewhere. But the reason that I chose to look in the northeast corner of the state is because it's a higher elevation called high desert. And high desert has cooler summer temperatures. And my plans in particular are to boondock down in the southwest corner of the state where it's warm in the winter. And in the summer, it just gets intolerably hot down there. In my opinion, it's too hot to live without air conditioning. Although the Indians sure did, and some of the prospectors sure did, but it's brutal. But you get up into the higher reaches of the mountainous area, and called high desert, and it's still going to get up in the 80s during the summer, but that's tolerable compared to down there where it gets to be 110, 120 degrees, and you can fry an egg on a rock. So anyway, when you're looking for cheapest land, you have to be careful, because you're going to find some very cheap land offered, and it's going to be totally glorified in websites and with the realtors saying this is the best that you can get, and your piece of paradise and stuff like that. But it can be totally without trees or brush to stop the wind, and the winds up there can be brutal. If there's nothing to stop the winds, man, they just come whistling through there, and you're living with it day after day after month after month. And you don't want that. I mean, that's, sand gets in everything. It's miserable. And so you want to be inside in a sealed up room all the time, and that's no fun. Even in the winter, it does that. And if you get snow, it might even drift. But so you're better off to have land that's got some trees. I'm talking trees that are 15, 20 foot tall. Many of them are only 10 feet tall, but any of that serves as somewhat of a windbreaker. Still not going to stop all the wind. But you can find them. They're not necessarily what we call up here in Michigan shade trees, where you can be 50, 100 feet away from it and still get shade from it. And it probably won't make much difference in the temperature. We're up in Michigan. It might drop the temperatures 10, 15 degrees. But, these are trees that you could set directly underneath and or hollow out even a place and be a little bit cooler. But mostly it's for wind protection and to hold the soil in place. And the soil up there, let's talk about that. Anywhere in Arizona and many other states. I spent a year down in Mexico, and down there it's called arena. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. You probably know it better as adobe, the stuff that they used to mix some grasses with and build the little houses that they lived in, which were nice and cool that way. But it's like a clay, and it's rock hard. You got to chip it out with a pickaxe if it's dry. Once it gets wet, it holds water, turns into slick mud like clay, like lime. Just darn slippery, and you can get trapped back in there, unless you wait for it to dry out or got a real good four-wheel drive. And even then, you may still get stuck. Other than that, and that's not all of the land. There's some land up there that's sandy. Back to this holding water. Listening to a bunch of YouTubers, they say, you might have to wait a week, but then you'll be able to drive on it again. And when you're looking for land, look closely at the roads or trails going back into these lands, and you'll see where they've rerouted the road off to the side or the trail off to the side. And that's because it turned into a quagmire and people got stuck in it or whatever, and it's got some deep ruts cut. That's a good sign, that you need to be aware of that land. And if during what they call the monsoons, which is usually in the winters, and in my opinion, I'm not going to be up there. Well, I guess I would be up there in the winter because, no, I'm sorry, back up. I'd be up there in the summer where it's cooler. I keep getting confused about that. But in the summer, you might get some rain, but it's generally not as much. The monsoons come during the winter months, and people who live there permanently, round the clock, around the year, they have trouble sometimes getting out. So what they do is they get enough supplies so they can set for a couple of weeks before they need to go get groceries again, and they watch the weather really good. And if it looks like it's going to rain for several days, they might go into town and get their groceries so they can weather through it without having to run on those muddy roads and chance getting stuck. Because if you don't have neighbors real close with a tractor, which most don't, your other neighbors, they might not want to come out with their truck and take a chance on pulling you out and getting stuck themselves. I mean, it could be pretty bad. So anyway, other than that, there's sandy soil, which in a sense can be bad too. If it's loose sand, you're talking four-wheel drive, big tires. And but you're not going to be necessarily going back in there with a small car or a pickup that's just two-wheel drive. Just beware of that and check out those soil types. And then there's the rocky properties, which even the trails may require high clearance vehicles. Big tires, that lift you up high enough, and four-wheel drive, or just four-wheel drive at the minimum, to be able to hop over these things. Then there's also what's called lava flow, and I talked about this in the last video. Lava flow is years and years, ancient years ago, there were some volcanoes that erupted. And they didn't just spew rocks, although they did that too, but they spewed lava, which flowed out and went over a huge area of the territory that I'm talking about here. And I tried to pull up some maps of just where the lava flows are, and there really is nothing good of that. And so that problem, it might be 4 feet down under the soil. It might be might even be some bare lava showing on top. You might have lava rocks that have come down later, scattered around the property. I've seen property with that on it, and you got to clear those. They're not necessarily big stuff, but if you want a driveway through there, you got to move those out of the way so you don't tear up your tires or have to have high clearance. But this lava flow creates a problem with putting in septic systems and, a basement. But as far as septic systems are concerned, in Apache County, and I don't know about the others because, it's going to be equally bad there, just to get a septic permit, they have to do a perk test. And up here in Michigan, they just jab some rods in the ground. And if it was good, then they put down some pipes, and pull them back up to see what the soil is like. But down there, they have to dig 12-foot deep holes with a backhoe and have an engineer come in and evaluate the different layers of the soil. And if they hit lava or rock, they have to explore that. And, they can still get around that, but they have to jackhammer their way down through that in order to put in a septic tank and maybe even your drain field. And that's a huge expense. I've been quoted $250 an hour. And they've got jackhammers that they can put on the back of their backhoe and really hammer away at that stuff. But, you got to be down there. I think the tanks are like 6 feet deep or 6 feet tall, and they've got to be underground. So you're talking maybe 8 foot at least to the bottom of that tank. And then your drain field, if you encounter lava flow that's close to the surface, they may have to blast out all of that rock all the way around there. And the guy I talked to, he says it's typical that you got to have 2 runs of drain field, 80 feet long and 10 feet apart. And then that's going to have, of course, crushed stone in it, or 1-inch stone put in it, like up here in Michigan, and some tubes, that have got perforations in it to drain that out. That can be a huge expense. So if you're thinking of just building a shed, just and living in it without a septic system, you're good. But if you want electricity, you've got to have a septic first. And that's every county up there in Arizona. You got to have the septic first, and then they'll give you a permit to get electric in. And I've been quoted as much as $20,000 to put in a septic system. We're up here in Michigan, it might be $10,000, $7,500 roughly. But, it could be like 11 or 12, 15,000 without having to do a bunch of rock work down there. So it can be very expensive to get in a septic system. A lot of the people down there, they don't bother with it. They go with solar, and they put in either a composting toilet or something different. And there is a different kind of septic system that you can have, which supposedly is above ground, but I couldn't get a straight answer on that from the county. They were acting like they didn't know what I was talking about. But other people have talked about it, so I suppose it's there. I just have to do a little more discovery on that. Let's see. Talked about the trees already, needing the trees, and this area down here that I showed you in the southern part of the Arizona, Apache County, has quite a few trees, but there's areas where there is no trees. And so you need to scout for trees, in my opinion. So the next thing I want to talk about is access. As you're looking at these maps, when you're searching for land on Google Maps, on several others, which I'll mention later, you'll see lines which are supposedly platted roads. And there should be easements where those are platted. The county of Apache County actually had these roads mapped out. They didn't necessarily have them all bulldozed into decent roads. Some of them are trails, even though it might show on a map that it's a trail. The line is just computer drawn. It may have sagebrush or trees or rocks and everything grown up in the middle of it. And I don't know how you can turn off the roads unless you just go to a straight up Google map and examine that area without anything turned on, just the satellite. So that you're looking at the pure land. And then you can see if there's any graded roads. But as far as access is concerned, I mentioned, quagmire of sticky mud, slippery mud, not sticky mud. You'll stick to your tires, but fill the tires up and you can't go nowhere. It's like grease. You got to have access. And if it's a newly platted area, because there's a lot of these, someone will buy up 40 acres or 80 acres or more, and they'll plat it out, maybe even get it surveyed, but they haven't put any roads in. And the reason that they're selling you cheap land is because there are no roads, and you got to find your own way in there somehow. And they might tell you how bad it is. They might tell you that you need four-wheel drive or high clearance, but again, they might not. And I've seen in some circumstances where they try to put you at the far side of their property with no trails getting to it and expecting that you're going to try to find your way back in there and break a trail. And if you break a trail, then it makes the rest of their land more valuable, because then they can say it's slightly improved or improved, and it's not really. But so you need at least an easement to get in there, and you don't want to be landlocked. I know up here in Michigan, you can buy land that's landlocked, and it's alongside a railroad or something, and you can't get to it because there's no way, nobody will let you go across their land to get to it. You got to have an easement, and why would they want to give you an easement across their land if they're not the ones selling it to you? So you got to make sure you got an easement. A proposed road is not a road. Just not. Then you want to be looking for washes, gullies, whatever you want to call them, where when it does rain, the water flows through your right of way or your easement or whatever on your way to getting out to where there are improved roads. And you got to know that you got to cross that if it's muddy, and that's definitely going to stay muddy. It might wash out to where you have to come back there and fill it back in with a shovel or rocks or boards or whatever just to be able to get across it. And if you drive down through there, you're loosening things up. So the next time it rains, this is going to get deeper, and it might puddle up and hold water longer because of that hole that you've created. So beware of that, that you've got to be able to get out. And the terrain views really show where these gullies are. These they call them washes. It's where the water runs because it doesn't like to soak into this ground. This, I'm going to call it adobe because that's really what it is. It's like a clay. And so the water will stand on it until it evaporates. It soaks in very slowly. Or it runs off. And if it runs off, it's because there's a gully there and a wash, they call it. And you've got to be able to cross that somehow. If you go around it to try to get out and someone buys land that you have been trying to cross, you got to get an easement for them to let you go across their land, which they're probably not likely to do. So beware of that. Look for washes. It's best if you can find something that's already got some graded roads and maybe some culverts put in, which is rare. Culverts put in through where a right of way has been made, so that a wash can flow underneath it. But that's rare. I've never seen anything like that, So they like to leave them open so the water is unimpeded, because if a chunk of a tree falls down and goes down there, all it's going to do is clog the culvert pipes, and then you just got a pond, that's a big mess. So now I've got to get into something else, but I've got to stop the video to observe the stuff. I've got my page of notes here, and I've got a whole nother page I've got to put into the right process to be able to talk to you. And so hang on, and I'll be right back. Well, when I was editing some of this video so far, I found out it's already gotten pretty long, and I've still got quite a bit more to go. So I think I'm going to split it into part 1 and part 2. I still got zoning to be covered, types of buildings or RVs that you can live in, and how you do get about that. Permit process, what permits you need for what. Water access, wells, tanks, delivery, septic systems, more details on that. Access to electricity, solar as an option. Places where you can do your shopping that are large enough to be worthwhile and economical. Every little town's got a little store, but you don't necessarily want to purchase your food at double the price. Public lands that you can camp on. Some of them might have a small fee for a permit, like on your state trust lands. I think it's like $15 for the year, I think. And there's quite a few places where you can do that, especially while you're hunting for land. And then how to search for land. The different websites that specialize in land in Arizona and other states. Economical land, cheap land. And then real estate companies, of course, they're the local who might know better of what's in the area for sale. But, it's still a good, at least as much as this video here to go yet. So I'm going to end this one here and do a second one. So once you get done with this, be looking for another one. It may take a few days to get that one out too. But look for it at youtube.com/@tramptraveler. And if you subscribe and touch the white bell and touch the black bell, you'll get these notifications of a new video when it comes out. So that's the best way that you can know when part 2 of this comes out. So you have a good week, and be looking for the other half. But have paper and something to write with handy, because there's just gobs of information yet that I've got to go through, and you're going to want this information. So you can watch the videos again, but you're still going to want to take more notes. So do it the first time. We'll catch you later, and thanks for watching.